Let's talk about stage fright. Do you get nervous performing for large crowds? Do you get nervous performing for 3 people on an audition panel? Do you get nervous performing for 10 people on a competition jury? Do you get nervous even thinking about doing all of these things? If so, you're not alone. I've been doing all of these things for virtually my entire life. I played my first concert when I was 3 and I'm turning 23 this month, so I have 2 decades of experience. And when I say experience, I mean literally everything, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. And considering I came from a place where my stage fright was so bad before that I would literally get shaky body parts while performing in front of people and panic attacks, and now I'm actually comfortable and look forward to going on stage, we can all say that I have come a long way. In this video, I'm going to break it all down. I'm going to talk about my experiences with stage fright, how I learned to overcome it, and a couple specific techniques and actions you can take while you're performing so that you can feel comfortable, whether you're playing for one person or thousands of people. Alright, so stage fright. I'm a cellist, so everything I talk about is going to be coming from that perspective, but stage fright is universal, whether you're a musician, a dancer, an athlete, a public speaker, a salesperson, even if you're someone who's just trying to talk to someone you have a crush on, that is all a form of stage fright when you start to feel nervous, because what stage fright really is at its root is our self-consciousness plus our fear of what will happen to us if things go wrong. Let me repeat that and put it down here because it's super important. Stage fright is our self-consciousness plus our fear of what happens to us if things go wrong. So for example, when I was younger and I used to go to a lot of international competitions and take a lot of auditions, I always played at my absolute worst in those situations. I don't think I've ever played worse than I have in competitions and auditions. In fact, I could probably make an entire video full of just competition and audition fail stories because I just have so many. Actually, I might even really make a video full of my competition and audition fail stories because some of them are really hilarious. If that's something you guys want to see, leave me a comment below and maybe I'll really make that video. Anyway, after years and years of doing really bad playing in competitions and auditions, I started to wonder why it was that I would prepare so well for these things and then I would play so badly the second I got on stage. And finally, I realized it was because in all of these situations, I had this undeniable feeling of being judged. There was literally a jury in front of me. As a result of my performance, I knew that I would get a score or a ranking or a pass or an acceptance or not, and that was a very clear marker to me of success or failure. And of course, I was afraid of what people would think of me if I ended up on the failure end of that deal. Anytime I was being judged by a jury, I would focus so much on my fear of the result of the performance that was the only thing that was on my mind as I went out on stage and during the actual performance. This would sometimes even happen in concert settings. I would be on stage performing and in the back of my mind I would be wondering about the audience. What if they were judging me negatively? I'm going to read you guys a quote that sums this up really well. Whatever's going on inside your head has everything to do with how well you end up performing. The better your self-belief, internal self-talk, attitude, focus, and mental climate are going into an event, the better your situation will be when the event energy is pumping through you. This is a quote from Gonzalez, who's a world-renowned peak performance coach, and it comes from his book, The Art of Mental Training, which I highly recommend. I'm sure you've heard of musicians dealing with stage fright by taking beta blockers or putting their hands in ice water before they practice so they're used to that clammy, cold hand feeling, or making themselves throw up before they go out on stage so that it's out of their system and doesn't happen while they're on stage. Anyway, all of those things are kind of like putting a band-aid over the symptom but not really addressing the root cause of stage fright, which is actually us. Yeah, that's right. Us. Our brains, our mental states. Stage fright is not caused by something external. It's caused by ourselves. It originates in our brains and is caused by our thoughts, which then affect our body's actions and our ability to perform at our peak. So if you think about it, if stage fright is caused by our brains and our thoughts, can't it also be solved by changing the way we think? I said earlier that stage fright is self-consciousness plus our fear of what will happen to us if things go wrong. So whenever I used to go out on stage and feel nervous, I would have this internal monologue going on in my head that sounded a little bit like this. Okay, this part is really difficult. Don't screw up, don't screw up. Everyone knows this next part is really hard. Everyone's probably expecting me to miss it. It would be so bad if I missed it. Oh my god, I just missed it. That's so embarrassing. Everyone's probably judging me now. They probably think I'm a terrible cellist. I should never go on stage again. Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I here? Again, whatever is going on in your head has everything to do with how well you end up performing. So if you have this kind of speech going on in your head and you're focusing on all the things you don't want to happen, you're pretty lucky if most of them don't. I always think this thing my driving teacher told me when I was first learning to drive. So you always look where you want your car to go, because wherever your eyesight or your attention is, your vehicle will go as well. And it's exactly the same in performance. I remember there were all these times when I was performing and there was something really difficult coming up, and I would immediately be focusing on not missing it. I tell myself, don't miss it, don't miss it. And then before I knew it, my fingers, which were being operated by my brain, which was thinking all these crazy thoughts, did exactly what it was I was focusing on and missed the thing I was so afraid of missing. So that's why what's going on in your head is so important. You can practice 12 hours a day and be super well prepared and then have all of that fly out the window because your self-talk is off, and that has happened to me so many times. So instead of focusing on the negative outcome I don't want, I try to focus on the positive outcome I do want. I remember once I heard Tiger Woods say that whenever he goes up to putt, he always visualizes the ball going where he wants it to go. So in my case, since I'm a cellist, what I do is when something difficult is coming up, first of all, I silence all the nervous chatter in my head because it's usually not telling me anything positive I need to hear in that moment. And then what I do instead is replace that by visualizing. I literally hear in my mind the pitch I want to create, and I feel my hand go into the position and my fingers doing the movements I want them to do before I actually do them. Whenever I miss something that I know I normally can do without any problem, it's because my mind is telling me things that are off. Learning to modify the script inside my head has been one of the greatest, most powerful things I've done to impact my performance. However, it took me years and years of experience and many experiences of performing really badly on stage until I got to a place where I was able to control my thoughts. So it does take practice and it does take time. When I was doing a lot of research on stage fright and trying to understand where it came from and why I wasn't reaching my potential as a performer, I actually turned to the world of sports psychology for a lot of help. There has been so much research done and literature published in the sports world about peak performance, and not so much in comparison for musicians. And all of the same principles that apply to athletes apply to us, because like I said earlier, the key to being confident on stage is having mental toughness, mental strength, and mental discipline. If you're interested, the book I mentioned earlier is by Gonzalez and it's called The Art of Mental Training, and it's a really good place to start if you want to learn more about this topic. As usual, thanks so much for watching. If this video helped you out, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below, because it really helps to support my channel, and I want to continue to do my best to create content that helps all of you by sharing my stories and experiences with you guys. To get notified when my next video comes out, all you have to do is click the little bell button next to the subscribe button below, and you'll get a notification when that happens next week. And until then, you can find me on Instagram.com/SophiaBaslar and Facebook.com/SophiaBaslar. See you next week. Bye!